The mystery of Queen Balqis. Queen Balqis, the majestic ruler of the ancient kingdom of Sheba, was a figure whose name would echo through the annals of history. Her story is woven into the fabric of both legend and scripture, captivating the hearts of those who seek to understand the extraordinary circumstances that surrounded her reign. Yet, amidst her grandeur and wisdom, there remained one unsolved mystery that perplexed scholars and laypeople alike for centuries. Was she truly a human queen, or was she something far more mystical, possibly even half-jinn? This is the story of that enigma, a tale of power, wisdom, and divine intervention. The kingdom of Sheba was known for its extraordinary wealth, magnificent palaces, and the overwhelming beauty of its lands. The queen's realm, perched in the arid deserts of the Arabian Peninsula, was a hub of trade and culture. The people of Sheba were known for their advanced knowledge in agriculture, astronomy, and architecture. But it was not just her nation's prosperity that made Bilqis an exceptional ruler. It was her wisdom and the rare gift of insight that set her apart. Queen Bilqis' rule began at a young age, after the death of her father. Her transition into leadership was marked by a time of peace, yet it was clear that her kingdom was on the edge of something much more significant. Rumors had spread far and wide of her unusual birth, and those who spoke of her origins were always careful with their words. Some believed her to be the daughter of a jinn, a supernatural creature that exists between the human and spirit world. Others claimed that her mother had been blessed by an angel, a story which, though beautiful, lacked tangible proof. Despite this, Bilqis carried the weight of her kingdom on her shoulders with a grace that was both awe-inspiring and mysterious. As Queen Bilqis matured, so did her power. Not only did she possess a keen mind for governance, but she also had a peculiar intuition that guided her decisions. It was said that she could foresee events, predict the movements of the stars, and understand the hidden meanings in dreams. Her advisors often marveled at how she knew what was to come before it happened, but none could explain how or why this was so. Some whispers suggested that her wisdom was beyond the reach of ordinary human knowledge, and that perhaps her origins were not of this world. One of the most famous incidents that added to her mystique occurred when King Solomon, the prophet of the Israelites, sent a letter to her. King Solomon, renowned for his wisdom, was known to have an alliance with the jinn, a powerful race of supernatural beings that had the ability to move mountains, control storms, and even communicate across vast distances. When Queen Bilqis received the letter, it contained a simple yet profound message from Solomon, inviting her to meet him and witness his wisdom firsthand. The letter challenged Bilqis, not only as a monarch, but as a woman who carried the weight of her people's expectations. It was an invitation to a meeting of great minds, but the letter also included a subtle hint. Solomon's wisdom was said to be divinely granted, and he was known to have a deep understanding of the unseen. Could this be a test of her wisdom? Or was Solomon's message an indication that she had something to prove? Was it perhaps a challenge to her intelligence and leadership? Despite the allure of Solomon's invitation, Queen Bilqis did not rush into her decision. She called upon her advisors, sages, and trusted counselors to deliberate on what should be done. As the discussions unfolded in the grand halls of her palace, the people of Sheba were filled with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. They wondered if Bilqis would accept the invitation or refuse, and if she did go, what would come of this fateful encounter with Solomon, a man whose wisdom was unmatched, and whose kingdom stretched far and wide? Bilqis was not only a ruler but also a deeply spiritual individual, believing in the divine and the unseen forces that govern the world. She had always felt that her wisdom, her ability to foresee events and understand the forces of nature, came from a higher source. Yet, she also knew that the invitation from Solomon could be a test, not only of her intellect but of her faith. After days of contemplation, Queen Bilqis made her decision. She would journey to meet Solomon. She gathered her advisors and set out for the distant land where Solomon's kingdom lay. The journey was long and fraught with dangers, but Bilqis was determined. She trusted her instincts and knew that this encounter would shape the future of her people. As she journeyed through the harsh desert, her thoughts were consumed with questions. What would she discover about Solomon? Was he truly as wise as the stories claimed? And more importantly, was there something hidden within her own soul that she was yet to understand? As Queen Bilqis neared Solomon's kingdom, a sense of foreboding filled the air. The winds whispered of an encounter unlike any other, one that would unravel the very mysteries of her existence. She had been chosen to stand before a king who was not just a monarch, but a prophet, a man who had been gifted with the ability to see beyond the ordinary realm of reality. But Bilqis was no ordinary queen. She was a woman of great wisdom, born with an innate understanding of the world's deepest truths. And as she entered Solomon's kingdom, she did so with the knowledge that her life and the fate of her people would be forever altered. The true nature of Queen Bilqis, whether human or something more, was about to be revealed. And it would be Solomon, with his divine wisdom, who would uncover the secret that lay buried deep within her heart. The encounter with Solomon as the journey to Solomon's kingdom continued. Queen Bilqis' thoughts grew heavier with each passing day. The desert landscape stretched endlessly before her, and her heart raced with a mixture of excitement and uncertainty. This was a momentous occasion, one that would not only shape her future, but the destiny of her kingdom. With each mile, the weight of the invitation grew heavier, and the question of her true nature began to stir within her. Was she truly human, or was there something greater at play? Could Solomon, a man who had been blessed with wisdom from the divine, provide the answers she had long sought? As the queen and her entourage reached the borders of Solomon's realm, the first signs of the great city appeared on the horizon. Towering structures, shining under the blazing sun, stood as a testament to Solomon's power and the prosperity of his people. The sight of it filled Queen Bilqis with a sense of awe. This was the kingdom of a man who was not only known for his wisdom, but also for his extraordinary ability to command the jinn. The stories of Solomon's mastery over the supernatural had reached far and wide, and the queen knew that this meeting would be unlike any she had experienced before. The gates of the kingdom were opened in anticipation of her arrival. Solomon, upon hearing that Queen Bilqis had arrived, ordered a grand welcome to honor the Queen of Sheba. As Bilqis stepped off her royal carriage, she was immediately struck by the beauty of the city. Magnificent palaces and lush gardens greeted her eyes, but it was the presence of Solomon himself that captured her attention. He stood at the entrance, dressed in royal garments, his face calm yet commanding. The air around him seemed to hum with an energy that was both divine and mysterious. Queen Bilqis was no stranger to powerful men, but there was something about Solomon that set him apart. His gaze was steady and piercing, as though he could see deep into the soul. And yet, there was a gentleness in his eyes, a compassion that seemed to reach beyond the surface. As she approached him, she couldn't help but wonder if this was the man who would unravel the mystery of her existence. "Welcome, Queen Bilqis," Solomon greeted her, his voice calm and regal. "It is an honor to meet the ruler of such a prosperous and wise kingdom." Bilqis, though composed, felt a shiver run down her spine. There was something deeply unsettling about his words, as if he knew far more than she had expected. "The honor is mine, King Solomon. I have heard much of your wisdom and the wonders of your kingdom." Solomon smiled, a knowing smile that seemed to reach into her very soul. Wisdom is a gift, but it is not the only thing that guides us. There are many forces at work in this world, forces that are beyond human understanding. As the two rulers exchanged pleasantries, Bilqis felt a growing sense of unease. She could sense that Solomon was not only a wise king, but someone who possessed knowledge of the unseen world. His words seemed to carry a deeper meaning, and she wondered if this encounter was not just about politics and governance, but something far more profound. The queen was led into Solomon's palace, where the grandeur of the court took her breath away. The walls were adorned with intricate carvings, depicting scenes of divine battles and supernatural beings. The air was thick with the scent of exotic spices and flowers, and the sounds of music played softly in the background. Solomon's palace was a place of beauty, yes, but there was something else in the air, something mystical, that seemed to pulse beneath the surface. Once inside the palace, Bilqis was seated at a grand table, and they began to discuss matters of governance, trade, and alliances. But as the conversation unfolded, it became clear that Solomon was not merely interested in politics. He asked her questions about her people, her beliefs, and her understanding of the divine. He seemed to probe into the very core of her being, and she could feel his gaze penetrating her thoughts. "Tell me, Queen Bilqis," Solomon began, his voice thoughtful, "how do you perceive the world? What is it that guides your decisions as a ruler?" Bilqis hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to respond. She had always trusted her instincts, her intuition, and the ancient wisdom passed down through the generations of her people. But she knew that Solomon was not asking for a simple answer. He was seeking something deeper. "I believe that all things in this world are connected," she said slowly. "The land, the people, the sky, and the stars, they are all intertwined. My people have long believed in the power of the unseen, the forces that shape our destiny, though we may not always understand them." Solomon nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Yes, the unseen. It is a force that guides us all, whether we acknowledge it or not. But there is more to it than just fate. There is knowledge, and with knowledge comes power." As the conversation continued, Bilqis couldn't help but wonder if Solomon's knowledge extended beyond the physical world. Was he aware of the secret that lay hidden within her? Could he see the truth that had eluded her for so long? Was she truly human, or was there something more to her existence, something that even she could not fully comprehend? The evening wore on, and the two rulers spoke of many things: philosophy, science, and the mysteries of the universe. But throughout it all, Bilqis could not shake the feeling that she was being tested. Solomon's questions were not just about politics or governance. They were about the very nature of her soul. He seemed to be probing her, searching for something hidden beneath the surface. As the night drew to a close, Solomon invited Bilqis to stay in his kingdom for a time. "There is much more to see, Queen Bilqis," he said with a smile. "I believe that our meeting was not by chance, but by design. There are things you need to learn, and I can help you uncover them." Bilqis agreed, though her mind was clouded with uncertainty. She had come seeking answers, but now she found herself wondering if Solomon's wisdom could provide the clarity she so desperately sought. Was he the key to unlocking the truth about her origins? Was she truly human, or was she, as some believed, a being caught between two worlds, neither fully human nor fully jinn? That night, as she lay in her chambers, Queen Bilqis could not sleep. The mysteries of the universe, the questions about her true nature, and the strange feeling that Solomon held the answers haunted her thoughts. She had come seeking knowledge, but she had discovered something far more profound. In Solomon's presence, she felt both drawn to him and yet, strangely, distant from him. He was a man of great wisdom, but was he also the key to unlocking the secret of her existence? The revelation days passed as Queen Bilqis remained in Solomon's kingdom. Her mind was heavy with the questions that had grown since her arrival. Solomon's wisdom was undeniable, and his kingdom was filled with wonders beyond her imagination. Yet, the one question that lingered in her heart was still unanswered. Who was she truly? Was she a woman of flesh and blood, or was there something far greater, something beyond human comprehension, that shaped her existence? Solomon's palace became a place of both learning and reflection for Bilqis. Each day, she would sit with the king and discuss matters of governance, philosophy, and religion. But as the conversations progressed, Solomon seemed to guide her towards deeper topics, ones that explored the very nature of existence and the unseen world. He would speak of the spiritual realms, of the divine forces that shaped the world, and of the jinn, the invisible beings who lived in a parallel realm to humans. One evening, as they sat together in a grand hall overlooking the palace gardens, Solomon began to speak of the nature of creation. The world, he said, is not only what you see before you. It is governed by forces that are hidden from mortal eyes. There are realms beyond this one, realms that we cannot fully comprehend with our human understanding. The jinn, for instance, live in one of these realms. They are neither fully of the earth nor the heavens, but exist in between. Bilqis listened carefully, her heart beating faster with each word. Solomon's words seemed to resonate within her, stirring something deep within her that she had long suspected, but could never quite articulate. Was this the key to her mystery? Was she a part of this hidden world that Solomon spoke of? "Do you believe, King Solomon," she asked, "that the jinn have the power to influence human lives?" Solomon looked at her with a thoughtful expression. The jinn, like humans, are creatures of free will. They can choose to act for good or evil, just as humans can. However, their powers are far beyond what humans can comprehend. They can influence the elements, shape the winds, and even move unseen through the world. But they are not without limitations. The divine has set boundaries upon them. Bilqis nodded, her mind racing. She had heard tales of the jinn before, stories passed down from her ancestors, but never had she truly understood their role in the grand tapestry of creation. She had always felt a connection to something beyond the human realm, a sense that her existence was not ordinary. Could it be that she was touched by the jinn? Could it be that her strange wisdom, her uncanny ability to foresee events, was a gift or a curse bestowed upon her by these mysterious beings? The following days brought new revelations. Solomon took her to his private chambers, where he kept ancient scrolls and manuscripts filled with knowledge of the unseen. There, he shared with her the story of his own encounters with the jinn, his ability to communicate with them, and the ways in which he had learned to harness their power. Bilqis listened in awe, her mind grappling with the weight of what she was learning. Solomon's wisdom seemed limitless, but she couldn't shake the feeling that he was holding something back. Something about her. One night, as the moonlight bathed the gardens in a soft glow, Solomon asked Bilqis to join him for a walk. They strolled through the palace grounds, their steps silent on the stone pathways. The air was cool and fragrant with the scent of blooming flowers, and the stars above shimmered brightly in the sky. "Tell me, Queen Balqis," Solomon said, his voice soft yet piercing, "what is it that you seek? You came to my kingdom seeking answers, but what is it that you truly wish to know?" Bilqis paused for a moment, her eyes searching the vast expanse of the sky. "I seek to understand who I am," she said slowly. "I have always felt that there is something more to me than what meets the eye. I have always sensed that I am connected to something greater, something beyond the realm of human understanding. I need to know the truth, King Solomon. Am I truly human, or is there something else within me?" Solomon stopped walking and turned to face her. His gaze was intense, as though he could see into the very depths of her soul. "You already know the answer, Bilqis," he said softly. "You are both human and something more. Your origins are not as simple as you think. The truth of who you are lies not in the blood that runs through your veins, but in the spirit that resides within you." Bilqis' heart raced as his words sank in. She had long suspected that she was more than just a woman, but to hear Solomon confirm it was both a relief and a shock. What did it mean that she was something more? Was she a creature of the jinn? Was there a divine force within her, guiding her every step? Seeing her confusion, Solomon continued, "You are not the daughter of any ordinary human. Your mother was touched by the divine, and your father was a being from the unseen realm. Your bloodline is a mixture of human and jinn. That is why you possess the wisdom you do, the intuition that allows you to see what others cannot." Bilqis felt as though the ground beneath her had shifted. The revelation was both overwhelming and enlightening. She had always known there was something extraordinary about herself, but to hear it spoken aloud by Solomon, whose wisdom was unparalleled, was a confirmation of everything she had suspected. She was not merely a queen. She was a bridge between two worlds, the human world and the world of the jinn. The realization struck her like a bolt of lightning, and for the first time in her life, she felt the weight of her true nature. She was no longer just Queen Bilqis of Sheba. She was a being whose existence was intertwined with the supernatural, whose purpose was far greater than she had ever imagined. Solomon placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You have always known the truth, Bilqis. Now you must learn to embrace it. Your destiny is not just to rule over the land of Sheba, but to understand the balance between the human and the supernatural. You have been chosen to bridge the gap between these worlds, to bring understanding where there has been division." As Bilqis stood there, gazing into the night sky, she felt a sense of clarity she had never known before. The mystery of her existence had been unveiled, but with this knowledge came a new responsibility. She was not just a queen. She was a being of great power, born of both human and jinn heritage, and it was her destiny to understand and navigate the complexities of both worlds, the fulfillment of destiny as the days passed in Solomon's kingdom. Queen Bilqis found herself grappling with the revelation she had received. The truth of her origins, her dual nature, weighed heavily on her heart. She had always known she was different, but the knowledge that she was part jinn and part human, a bridge between two worlds, was something she had not fully comprehended. Until now. This truth opened a door to a deeper understanding of herself and her purpose, but it also came with a new burden. Solomon, ever the wise and patient king, sensed her inner turmoil. He understood the gravity of the knowledge she had just gained and knew that it would take time for her to fully grasp the implications of her dual heritage. Yet he also knew that the journey she was on had just begun, and that her destiny was calling her to fulfill a greater purpose. One evening, as they sat together in the grand courtyard of Solomon's palace, surrounded by the soft glow of lanterns and the scent of jasmine in the air, Solomon spoke to Bilqis with a gentle but firm voice. "Queen Bilqis, the truth of your origins is not just for you alone," he said. "You are not the only one who is caught between two worlds. There are many beings who, like you, possess the power to influence both the human realm and the unseen world. It is your duty to understand this power and learn how to use it for the benefit of all." Bilqis nodded slowly, her mind swirling with the weight of his words. She had long been aware of the power she wielded, her ability to foresee events, to understand the hidden forces of nature, and to intuit the feelings of others. But she had never fully understood the source of this power, nor had she ever considered how to harness it for a higher purpose. Now, with Solomon's guidance, she was beginning to realize that her role as a ruler was not just to govern her people, but to bring balance to both the human and jinn realms. "You must learn to control this power, Bilqis," Solomon continued. "The forces that flow through you are ancient and powerful. If left unchecked, they could cause great harm. But if used wisely, they can bring peace and understanding to both worlds." Bilqis looked at Solomon, her gaze steady and determined. "How can I learn to control such power? How do I navigate the balance between the two realms?" Solomon's eyes shone with a mixture of wisdom and compassion. "The key to controlling your power lies in understanding the nature of both worlds, the human realm and the realm of the Jinn. You must learn their laws, their limitations, and their strengths. Only then will you be able to bring balance and harmony between them. But remember, Bilqis, you must always act with wisdom and compassion. Power without wisdom is a dangerous thing. As the days turned into weeks, Bilqis spent more time with Sulayman, learning not only about the jinn, but also about the deeper mysteries of creation. She studied ancient scrolls and manuscripts, delving into the hidden knowledge of the universe. Sulayman took her to sacred places where she could commune with the forces of nature and the spirits of the unseen world. Through these experiences, Bilqis began to unlock the secrets of her own soul. One afternoon, as she stood alone in a quiet garden, she felt a presence nearby. At first, she thought it was one of her attendants or a member of Sulayman's court. But then she realized that it was something else, a force, an energy that was neither human nor jinn, but something in between. It was as if the very air around her had shifted, as though the boundaries between the two worlds were beginning to blur. Bilqis closed her eyes and reached out with her senses, feeling the presence more deeply. She could hear whispers in the wind, voices that were not of this world. It was the jinn, she realized. They were calling to her, urging her to embrace her true nature. They were aware of her power, and they were waiting for her to understand her role in the cosmic order. She took a deep breath and focused her energy. For the first time, she felt a deep connection to the unseen world, a bond that transcended the limitations of her human form. It was as though she was standing on the threshold of two worlds, a place where the human and the supernatural could coexist in harmony. In that moment, Bilqis understood the true extent of her power. She was not just a ruler of Sheba. She was a being who could bridge the gap between the human and jinn realms. Her destiny was not only to rule with wisdom and compassion, but to guide both worlds toward balance and understanding. The next day, Sulayman called for Bilqis to meet him in his chambers. He looked at her with a knowing smile, as though he had sensed the transformation that had taken place within her. "You have found your path, Bilqis," he said. "You have unlocked the power within you. But now you must decide how to use it. Will you use this power for the good of your people, for the good of both the human and jinn realms?" Bilqis stood tall, her heart filled with clarity and purpose. "I will use this power to bring peace and understanding between the two worlds. I will ensure that both the human and jinn realms live in harmony, and that no one is forced to live in the shadows." Sulayman nodded approvingly. "Then you have truly embraced your destiny. The path ahead will not be easy, but you are ready. The wisdom of the jinn and the strength of humanity are within you. You will be the bridge that unites them." And so, with Sulayman's guidance, Queen Balqis began her journey of transformation. She returned to her kingdom with a new sense of purpose, knowing that her rule would not only be a time of prosperity for her people, but a time of reconciliation between the human and jinn realms. Her people welcomed her return with open arms, unaware of the mystical journey she had undertaken and the incredible revelations she had uncovered. Yet, as Bilqis took her seat upon the throne once more, she felt a deep sense of peace settle within her. She was no longer just a ruler. She was a leader of two worlds, a woman who had embraced both the human and the supernatural, and a queen, destined to bring balance to the universe. But the challenges ahead were not without danger. The forces of darkness, those who sought to exploit the power of the jinn for their own gain, would not stand idly by. Bilqis knew that her journey was far from over, and that the true test of her strength and wisdom was yet to come. But with the knowledge of her heritage and the guidance of Sulayman, she was ready to face whatever lay ahead.